All right. We're rolling.
Awesome.
Yeah. Welcome to the
Hello,
12
people
hour
around the
podcast.
world.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the 12-hour podcast, Amit.
Welcome, Adam. And let's remind our viewers what we are here to do.
Yeah, always. It's
We
really
are here to,
important.
yeah, we are here to talk about random stuff, go with the flow, and not expect any viewers.
That's right. Well said.
And that also means no comments, no subscribers.
That's right.
If you are one, we we don't even know why.
Yeah, exactly. We have no clue what you're doing here. You shouldn't be here. What you should be doing is basically anything else besides watching and listening to us. Because this is a very the goal is to not only have zero viewers and zero subscribers and zero people liking this, but also to provide the lowest quality content possible on YouTube. So hopefully we don't disappoint. We'll see what happens, I guess.
True.
Yeah. Well, Amit, we are doing this not on a typical day, and it's my fault. This time, it's my fault. You
It's
know,
partly my fault.
how is it your
We both
fault?
were we both were busy over the weekend, right?
Well, but I think more me than you. Okay, so if we could have done this on the typical evening, which would be Friday night for me, Saturday morning for you, would it have happened? If it wasn't for me saying that we couldn't do it, I guess not, right? Because there were other plans that I messed up.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, but at least you were not at home.
That's
You
true.
were you were outside. You were having fun,
That's
which is
true.
more important, by the way.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. We did plan to watch cricket together, and since it was, two very important teams for us in particular that were playing, it would have been really cool. But I couldn't.
Which, by the way, the match didn't happen because of rain.
Oh, really?
So
After everything, it never even happened.
yeah,
No way. That's so funny. So it kind of worked out, I guess.
yeah, I guess.
Okay, so is it rescheduled?
No, in this case, both the teams are awarded half the points and they move on.
Oh,
Unless it is a knockout match. If it is a knockout match, then there is an extra reserve day for that.
okay. So if it's rain, so hold on. So that means I didn't know. So okay, so with cricket, there is a certain amount of points that each team is trying to get to first. Ah, you see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
they are
know
not.
that. Okay.
It's not like they are trying to get to it first, but they want to stay on the upper half of the league or the group
Sure.
so that they
Okay.
can qualify for the next round.
But okay, but hold on. For each match, is there a maximum amount of points that is allotted to each team?
Yes, two
Yes.
points per match.
2 points per match. So whichever team gets to, so if there's two teams playing, which always there's two teams playing, I imagine, if one team gets to 2 points, the game is over. That's it.
No, if they win, they are awarded 2 points.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's just saying, so that means what you're saying is that there's 1 point that's given to each team if there's this situation where there's rain.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay. Now I
if the match is
understand.
abandoned, yes.
Now I understand. Okay, you see, I know nothing about cricket. Nothing. Like literally nothing.
Yeah, and it's a lot of mathematics. There's a lot of numbers involved.
Okay.
Sometimes it can get pretty crazy.
Okay. What country in the world is best known for having the most amount of citizens that are really good at math? What do you think? What's your
And
guess?
I'm guessing China.
That's what I was going to guess too. Probably China is the first country. What do you think is the second country?
That has to be India.
Okay, third?
Mm, Germany
Yeah, maybe Germany. Maybe.
or Russia? We are forgetting
Yeah,
Russia.
could be Russia. Russia's probably up there too. And
Mm.
then maybe Germany. And what's after Germany?
And then US.
And then the US. What about like Sweden, Norway, those countries? You don't think they're up there?
I'm sure there are some good mathematicians there, but if we are talking about quantity, then they might be lagging a lot.
Okay, now we're going to do some research to find out if you're right.
Let's do that.
Yeah, are you nervous?
Not at all. We don't have any. We don't have anything to lose, basically.
That's true. That's true. We have nothing to lose. It's a very, very,
So
very
what
good
are we
point.
gonna ask? Like most number of math Olympiad, something
What
like that, or
country or what are the top countries? What are the
math Olympiad medalist, maybe.
countries? There's a math Olympia?
Olympiad, yeah. It's basically the Olympics of mathematics.
Well, I figured that much out. It's called Olympia?
Olympiad, yeah.
Olympiad. Okay, got it. Sorry. What are the top 10 countries that perform the highest in the math Olympiad? I didn't even know this was a thing. Olympiad, Olympiad. Maybe? I'm guessing. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what it comes up with. Wow. Okay. Okay. You might be surprised.
Hmm.
So number one is China. We got that. Pretty good. Next, number two, according to this, is the United States. Much higher than we
I
thought.
figured that.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
didn't. Wait a minute. You didn't figure that because you said they were number
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, because when you compare it in terms of Olympiad medals, US is definitely going to come up because in India, Olympiad is considered as an extracurricular activity.
Oh my God. But this wasn't my original question then. All right, but let's keep going. So number 3 is Russia. Number 4 is South Korea. Then Iran. 6,
Oh,
Vietnam.
wow.
Yeah. 6 is
Very, very
Vietnam.
unexpected.
Yeah. 7 is Japan. 8 is Ukraine. 9 is Romania. And 10 is Thailand. India doesn't even make it on the list. What do you think about that, mister?
Yeah, I'm not surprised because India lags in any kind of extracurricular activity. Any
Okay.
kind.
Okay. And Canada is not on the list either. Okay, so now we need to rephrase the question. So, what are the top 10 countries that
In terms of mathematical aptitude, I guess.
have the highest mathematical aptitude? That's a great word. Aptitude is a
On
fantastic word.
on an average.
On average. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Okay, so Singapore is number 1.
Wow.
Hong Kong is number 2. Macau, number 3. Number 4 is Japan, then South Korea, then Taiwan, then China, then Finland, Switzerland, and Netherlands. Yeah, I was kind of figuring that they would be up there because I know their education is excellent. And India, once again, is not even on the list, nor is Canada, nor is the United States on the top 10.
Oh, wow.
No, nor is Russia, right?
You were so far away
Yeah.
from the guesses.
Now, in all fairness, China did kind of take up like number 2, number 3, and number 7 because it's China's list is Hong Kong for number 2, Macau number 3, and it says China in brackets Shanghai. I mean, China is a very big country, so I suppose they're separating it, but China is definitely and obviously up there. That is for sure. Okay. What other academic prowess could we look at? How about spelling bees?
Again, I think only US is good at that.
I'm not saying English necessarily, right? Like it could be just for their native language.
I don't think other languages have spelling bee that common.
No,
Because
spelling bees are only like English.
yeah, as far as I know. So what we can do is we can look up for spelling bee winners by nationality.
Yeah, we could. Okay, so I just looked up spelling bees. So I asked, are spelling bees only in English? Spelling competitions in other languages. So French is common, Spanish, German, Hindi, Chinese, Japanese. So, and there are actually multilingual spelling bees. So I guess where you would do a spelling bee in multiple languages. They could give you a word from different languages and you'd have to know how to spell it. I suppose they would probably outline the languages first as to the ones you're competing within. So maybe let's look up like what are the top 10 countries that perform the best in spelling bees relating to their native language? I don't know if it's like a fair question. Maybe that's hard to answer, but let's see. Okay, so here we go. Spelling bees or similar language competitions are held in various countries tailored to their native languages. Here are 10 countries that are known for strong performance in native language spelling or language proficiency competitions. So what do you think number 1 is?
US.
US is number 1. What's number 2?
Hard to say. Is it China?
It is not. It is. So number 2 is France. Number 3.
Oh, cool.
I think.
Again, some European country.
It is a European country. Which one is it? What do you think?
Sweden?
No. It is Germany. Yeah. And then it's China. And then it's India. Yeah. And then Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Brazil, and then Russia is number 10. Again, Canada doesn't even make it on the list at all. Canada, come on, stop sucking at things. Disappointing.
Canada is pretty chilled out.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is that we are sucking at things.
But I think Canada is good at ice hockey.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's
true. Only the thing I can guess of.
And lacrosse.
Lacrosse. Is it
Lacrosse.
another version of ice hockey?
No. So lacrosse is you got this pole, and on the end of the pole is a sort of a bucket looking thing.
Yeah.
And then you take and you have a ball in the bucket, and you take it and you toss it, and somebody has to catch it with their kind of bucket thing. It has a certain name, I just don't remember the name of it. And then there's a goalie on either end, and you have to like throw it into the net. And there's a lot of like hockey. There's a lot of pushing and shoving and checking, and it can get pretty violent. Like I've been to a lacrosse game, and they'll take the stick and they'll like whack somebody over the head with it.
And do they run on feet or do they have to skate?
Run on their feet, yeah. Yeah. And this game was incepted from the natives here. Now, I'm going to look this up to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it was incepted by the natives. And what the natives did is they would fight against another tribe. They would kill the other tribe, and they would cut off the head of the leader of that tribe, and then they would use it in this game. They would use the head of their enemy instead of a ball. But then it evolved and it got adopted and turned into this game. But that's what they used to do. I'm going to look it up to make sure, because I could just making that up in my head, but I'm pretty sure that that's true. If that's true, it's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, I can imagine that being an episode of Game of Thrones.
Pretty crazy.
And
right?
I guess there was a similar thing in Game of Thrones where they chopped the head off and they were passing it around.
Yeah, let's look this up. So how was lacrosse created? What is the history of the game? Okay, let's see what comes up. Let's see if I'm right. I could have totally made that up. But I think I remember this. Somebody might have also just told me the story, and it stuck with me, and I was like, okay, that's the truth. And I didn't really look into it. But here we go. Okay. So lacrosse is one of the oldest team sports in North America, with a rich history rooted in indigenous cultures. Here's an overview of how lacrosse was created and its historical development. Indigenous roots. Lacrosse originated with indigenous peoples in North America, specifically among tribes in northeastern regions such as the Iroquois, Cherokee, and others. It was known by various names, including Bagataway, and Tiwarathon, something like that. Okay. Spiritual and cultural significance. The game was more than just a sport. It had significant cultural, spiritual, and social importance. It was often played to resolve conflicts, heal the sick, and prepare young warriors for combat. The game was also seen as a gift from the creator and was sometimes referred to as the creator's game. Gameplay and equipment. Yeah. Early lacrosse games could involve hundreds of players and cover vast distances, often lasting for days. The original equipment included wooden sticks, often crafted with a netted pocket, and a ball made from wood, deerskin, or other materials. Okay, so it doesn't go into what I thought. I'm going to ask that specific question, though, but let's keep reading on. So European contact and evolution. French Jesuit missionary Jean de Brebeuf documented a lacrosse game in 1637, noting its popularity among the Huron people. The name lacrosse is believed to have been derived from the French term lacrosse, meaning the stick. Sure. Very creative, yeah. Adoption and adaptation. European settlers adopted the game, and by the 19th century, lacrosse clubs were forming in Canada. Dr. George Beers, a Canadian dentist, is often credited with standardizing the rules of lacrosse in the 1860s, making the game more structured and organized. Okay. And that goes into modern development. Cultural revival and respect indigenous resurgence. Efforts have been made to recognize and honor the indigenous origins of lacrosse. Okay. But let's look up Um, was this was lacrosse originally using the head of an enemy instead of a ball? That's horribly asking that question. Yeah. The idea that lacrosse was originally played using the head of an enemy instead of a ball is a myth. Okay, it was a myth. All right, so I totally made it up, I guess, and not supported by historical evidence. Lacrosse, as it was played by indigenous peoples in North America, used a ball made from natural materials like wood, deerskin, or other animal hides stuffed with hair or other substances. Okay, I am wrong. I am wrong, and I apologize. Listen,
Or the person who told you the story.
or the person that told me the story was wrong. But nonetheless, I do remember somebody told me this a long time ago, and I just was like, okay, that's interesting, and it stuck with me. But I guess they were wrong, and it says it's a myth. So I'm guessing that there has been a bit of, that type of thing said amongst people. It's not uncommon. Yeah.
No, I'm guessing all sports have some kind of myth attached, so that's okay.
Probably.
But what stood out to me was the spiritual aspect. I've never heard any game being, related to spirituality or bring some kind of healing power.
Mm. Mm.
What was that about?
Well, you know, I'm not sure about the the indigenous roots of India so much, but I know in the Americas, the indigenous people, the natives to the country, the ones that were referred to as Indians, even though they weren't Indian, um, much of the culture, pretty much the whole culture, was surrounded by spirituality of some sort. They didn't really have like a religion per se, as far as I could tell. I mean, we can look that up too. I don't think they ever really had a specific religion, but there was a lot of spirituality, like oneness with the environment, oneness with nature, oneness with the cycles of the planet. So I think almost everything had to do with some form of spirituality. Pretty much everything that they did, as far as I can tell. There was some sort of link to some sort of spirituality aspect of it. So, doesn't really surprise me. But I mean, it's interesting nonetheless. I think a lot of that has been lost, which is unfortunate.
And how many native Indians are there as of now in Canada?
I know in Canada, a big part of what the government does here is it protects Indigenous people, Aboriginal and Indigenous people. And there's actually a whole territory called Nunavut, which is north, it's quite a bit north, northern Canada. It's northern Canada, and that whole area is just to protect the Inuit and Aboriginal and Native folks that live in that area. That is a recent territory that was, I think, decided on maybe in like the early 1990s. It's pretty recent.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
And
Maybe, yeah.
is it a friendly zone or is it a hostile region?
No, it's friendly. It's friendly. A lot of people will go there, but typically it's meant to the whole area is to protect the way of life and the individuals that live there that are Aboriginal or Inuit. Yeah, we can look up more
And
information on that.
how does one go there? Like, do they need permission or they have to buy a ticket or
I think you
something
could
like
just buy a
that?
ticket. Yeah, I think you could just buy a ticket. Like I think I could go there, no problem. Anybody who's like you could probably go there. I don't see why not. We can look it up, but I imagine I'm kind of guessing, but I would think so. Yeah. But it's more like just protective. Like, so if you go there, you like, there's probably a lot of laws and a lot of things that you might not be able to do in other places in Canada. Like you've got to do things in probably a very particular way there, I would imagine. Yeah, but I'm gonna write. Tell me a bit about Nunavut. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So, Nunavut is a vast and sparsely populated territory in northern Canada, established as a separate territory in 1999. It is the largest and newest federal territory of Canada, created from the eastern part of the Northwest Territories. Okay, so location and size. Nunavut is located in the northern part of Canada and includes most of the Canadian Arctic archipelago. It covers approximately 2 million square kilometers, making it the largest and one of the most remote regions in Canada. The territory is characterized by rugged terrain, including tundra, mountains, and extensive coastline. People who live there, I mean, they're like real survivors. These are hard people, you know what I mean? It encompasses a significant portion of the Arctic archipelago with numerous islands and waterways. Nunavut was an Arctic and subarctic climate, has an Arctic and subarctic climate, with long, harsh winters and short, cool summers. Temperatures can drop to extreme lows in the winter, often below minus 30 degrees Celsius. Nunavut has a small population of around 39,000 people. The majority of the population are Inuit, who have inhabited the region for thousands of years. Then it goes into languages. Nunavut is divided into 3 regions. I could not pronounce these properly in terms of the actual proper pronunciation, but I guess it's sort of translated into English somewhat. Baffin, Keewatin, and Kitikmeot. The capital and largest city is Iqaluit, located on Baffin Island. Government. Nunavut has its own territory government, which operates under a public government model that includes both Inuit and non-Inuit residents. Okay, so there are folks that are non-Inuit that are there. The Nunavut Land Claims Agreement, signed in 1993, was a significant step towards the establishment of the territory, providing Inuit with land rights and self-governance. Okay, so they can kind of decide for themselves how they'll govern themselves. It's not up to Canada to decide it for them. Yeah. It goes into cultural heritage. So, yeah. They have self-governance in Canada. So they probably benefit from like a lot of the governance that's already provided by the country, but they can kind of, it sounds, by the sounds of it, I'm kind of guessing here, but by the sounds of it, I'm going to kind of assume that they can make decisions on their own if they want to do things differently than what the Canadian government has decided overall in terms of how the country will be governed. So, yeah. So I would imagine you can go there. I mean, I didn't specifically look that up, but I imagine anybody can go there. I wouldn't see why not. Can anyone travel to Nunavut? Yeah. Anyone can travel to Nunavut, but there are some important considerations to keep in mind due to its unique location, climate, and infrastructure. Sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Like in terms of accessibility, weather and climate, accommodations, permits and regulations. While Nunavut does not generally require special permits for visitors, certain activities like fishing, hunting, and visiting national parks might require specific permits. Respecting local customs. Travelers should respect local customs and traditions. Learning about Inuit culture and engaging respectively with local communities is important. So kind of what I was saying. There are certain things that you probably can't do there that you would be maybe like normal everyday things. You wouldn't think much about it. Because you have to be highly respectful of the folks that have governance over that part of the country.
Yeah, makes sense. Which should be applicable to any tourist spot, actually.
Should be, yeah. I would say so. Yeah, that makes sense. But there's probably like very specific things that you wouldn't be able to really. That might be like really foreign to I think most people. I'm going to imagine like much more foreign to anybody. Like there might be some like things that are surprising potentially. Again, I'm guessing and making assumptions, but I would think so.
Something like you are not allowed to wear shoes. That would be something rare.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe something like that as an example. Yeah, I mean, I know there are places in, especially in Asia, where you're not supposed to wear shoes entering certain buildings, right? You have to take your shoes off. Yeah, temples especially. Yeah, but I think even or even in Japan, it might be customary to like maybe even if you're going into a restaurant, certain restaurants of sorts, to not wear your shoes or certain buildings. Yeah, just heritage and culture and interesting stuff.
Only Asian countries have this tradition of removing shoes at certain places, right?
Is it common there to not wear shoes when you go into certain places there in India?
Mostly religious places.
Okay. But you wear socks are okay?
Yes, socks are fine.
Okay. Interesting. So you just leave your shoes like at the front door?
Yeah. Or sometimes they put a volunteer there who would take your shoes and put it in a safe place, and then they will return it when you're going out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine you would, if you're a foreigner, you'd probably notice pretty easily. Because you'd probably just see shoes everywhere as soon as you walk in. I'm just guessing.
I guess, yeah.
Amit, I can tell today you are definitely not yourself, for sure.
Yeah, I told you before we started that I'm feeling very sleepy. I don't know why.
What was your sleep like during the week or during last week?
It was okay. Like I usually get this amount of sleep only, around 7 hours, 8 hours. That's my usual sleeping duration.
Are you exercising?
And most of the times, no, that's the only thing missing currently. I've been only doing like one set a day or 2 sets a day. That's it at home.
What do you do?
Sometimes it's pull up or push up or squats, or sometimes I have those resistance bands that I would do some kind of shoulder exercises with.
How many push-ups can you do in a row?
I haven't tested myself recently. The last time I did, I guess it was 30 odd something.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's decent.
Yeah.
You think you
in a row?
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good. How many push-ups, if you're going to exercise, how many push-ups would you do in that one day?
2 or 3 sets. That's again 30 something.
Okay. So you can do about 90 push-ups, 60 to 90 push-ups when you do exercise.
No, I've never pushed myself that far. I only limit myself to 2 or 3 sets.
Well, if you're doing 2 or 3 sets and each set is 30 push-ups.
No. As in, when I say set, the set is usually it's said to be around 12 reps, right?
Okay.
In gym language.
Okay, so you'll do 12 reps in 3 sets of those. So you won't do like 30 in a row, take a little bit of a break, and then try to do another 30, take a break, and then try to do another 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is what I avoid.
Yeah, you would notice a huge improvement if you were to push yourself to the limit. And then even if you take like a 30-minute break or an hour break, and then you do like another 30, and then you take a big break and you do another 30. If you do like 100 push-ups, like aim to do 100 push-ups like every 2 to 3 days, you would notice a pretty big difference in your physique.
Okay, give me a challenge. I'll take that challenge.
Yeah.
Give me a number, and I'll do it until our next podcast.
100 push-ups. 100. You can do 100 push-ups in one day. Definitely. It's not hard. Even if you just do 10. Even if you just do 10, take a break, do another 10, take a break, do another 10, and then wait a little while, and then do another 10. You could do 100 push-ups in a day easily. It's not hard.
Yeah. So, just push-ups, or you want to mix it with something?
So you could do what I do if you want. So I'll do every other day, I'll do 100 push-ups, but I do them on my knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
I do them like this. So I do 100 of those, and then I do 25s in each hand, dumbbells, and I'll do shoulder presses. I'll do about 20 of those in a row. And then I'll do like trap raises. So with the same dumbbells, 25s in each hand. I'll do 60 of those. Just got to make sure when you do them, like your hand should be not in front and like a little bit to the side, but back a little bit. And then your shoulders are back here, not out front and not to the side, but like back.
Like pinch backwards.
Yeah. And up. And then I'll do 100 squats for my core, but I'll do them like with my knees up, and then I'll lift my body and I'll go to the side and make sure my elbow hits my knee, that knee, and then I'll do the other side. And I'll do 100 of those. So basically 50 each side. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, until I get to 100. Do that in a row. And then I'll get back up, and then I'll do another 30 push-ups. So I do 30 to 35. If I can do 40 in a row, I'll do 40. Sometimes if I'm like really well rested, I can do 50 in a row on my knuckles. So then after I do my squats, then I'll do as I'm doing it too, I'll lift up my leg. Like I'll lift up my leg too. So I'll bring my knee up. Right?
So it's sideways crunches.
Yeah, so basically like this to that knee, I'll do that. Yeah. And I'll lift up my knees as I'm doing it too. So I can get my elbow to my knee. So then after I'm done that, I'll do another 30, 35. If I can do 40 in a row, I'll do that. And I go until failure. Like I'll go until like I literally can't do another one. It's impossible. Like until my body just gives out. And then I'll rest. I'll have like a bite to eat. And then before I have the next meal, after that, then I'll do like another 30 to 35. And that'll bring me up to 100. Yeah.
And what about mind-muscle connection? Do you feel that?
Sorry, did you say mind-muscle connection?
Yeah.
What do you mean by mind-muscle connection?
Oh, I thought you are aware of that. So it's basically something like quality over quantity kind of a thing. So it doesn't matter how many reps you are doing, as long as you are feeling every rep, you are feeling the crunch or the compression and extension in every rep.
Sure.
That is what is mind-muscle connection.
Sure. I mean, I think I haven't really heard that specifically, but what I have heard about is like getting lactic acid flowing. So when you get like that burn in your muscle.
Yeah, that burning feeling is different. I'll give you an example.
No, I know it's different. But I'm just saying, like, I focus on getting the lactic acid going. And then once I can feel lactic acid, then I know that I'm doing it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exhausting the muscle. That is breaking it down.
Exactly.
So let's try something, and I'll show you what it means. So if I raise my hand and my palm is open, I don't feel any compression in my bicep right now.
Sure.
Okay. Now I'll close my fist and I'll try to feel it. Again, I'll feel it a little better, but not yet
Right.
because my wrist is towards my face.
Yeah.
And the moment I turn my wrist away from my face, I
Right.
start to feel that connection.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what everybody feels differently, this connection. Everybody feels this connection in a different position. Sometimes you have to put the wrist away, sometimes you have to put it backward. Everybody feels it in different wrist position. And that compression is what actually sends the blood flowing to the maximum level in that muscle.
Right. Right.
So it's just one muscle, but every muscle has that optimum, position where you can feel that, and that is what mind muscle connection is.
Okay. Interesting. Like I've only ever heard of like what's good to do is to, because for instance, like your bicep has well two main muscles.
Yeah, inner head
So
and outer head.
yeah. So the idea is to do different types of exercises that will have the bicep strained or being used in different ways. And that might mean a different position of the arm. It might mean a different type of resistance exercise. It might mean a little bit of a different movement. And that's probably a little bit along the lines of what you're talking about too, is like finding the different movements that maximize the amount of usage of the muscle, so that way you can get the most out of the exercise,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the point of that. But I've never heard it being described in that way before. I've only heard it being described in like the way that I was doing it, but not like this mind. What'd you call it? Mind to muscle, or muscle to mind,
Yeah,
or
yeah, we can look it up. What is the scientific term for that?
let's look it up. What did you call it again, though?
Mind muscle connection.
What is the scientific term for mind muscle connection? All right, this is in the way. All right. Okay. Did I lose you? You're still there? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's neuromuscular control or neuromuscular coordination. This concept refers to the communication between the brain, the central nervous system, and the muscles that allows for the conscious control of muscle movements. And it goes through like a whole bunch of things. Key aspects of neuromuscular control. One is motor unit recruitment, the process of activating various motor units within a muscle to produce force. The mind-muscle connection involves the selective recruitment of motor units to enhance muscle engagement during exercises. I don't know how to say this word. Proprioception. I think that's right. Proprioception. The body's ability to sense its position of movement in space. Proprioceptors in muscles and joints send information to the brain, helping to fine-tune motor control and coordination. Motor learning, the process of improving motor skills through practice and experience. Enhanced neuromuscular control can result from consistent training and focus on specific muscle groups. Muscle activation, the ability to consciously activate specific muscles or muscle groups. This is particularly important in resistance training, where focusing on the target muscle can lead to better performance and growth. Okay, practical application, strength training, rehabilitation, and sports performance. Okay, I've just never heard of this before. Mind-muscle connection. I'm making a note of it. Mind-muscle connection. Okay. Cool. Cool. Interesting. Thank you for teaching me that. I appreciate it.
And thank you for challenging me. I'll take that challenge and I'll see how far I can go. So that's
Yes.
100 push-ups a day, right?
100 push-ups. If you can do 100 push-ups every day, that'd be good. At one point, I was doing about like 300 to 400 push-ups every other day. And again, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that hard to do. Like if you spread it out amongst the whole entire day, you could easily do some math and determine like how many push-ups you would need to do, like let's say every 30 minutes. And if you
Yeah,
have
it's
a whole,
easy actually. I can space it out like my water intake.
yeah, exactly.
Every time I drink a glass of water, I can do like 5 to 10 push-ups.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Definitely. It's really a lot. It's a lot easier than you might think, for sure. It's very, very doable. So that's the challenge. See if you can do that. Do you have dumbbells at home?
I have resistance bands.
Okay.
So with dumbbells, which exercise were you referring to?
Dumbbells um, to do your shoulders. You could do these too. Like
Yeah,
if you'd have like lighter weights, you could do these where you lift your arms straight up, out,
yeah, raises.
and then
Yeah,
up this way, and then back down.
yeah, those are good with
Yeah.
resistance bands actually.
Yeah. Or actually, no, no, no. I'm doing it wrong. It's this way, and this way. That's right. Sorry. I was doing it wrong. And then back down this way. Like that. So out
Yeah,
first, and then in, and then up. And then down, out, and down. Yeah.
that's doable. The bands, have you ever used these resistance bands?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like them that much.
Okay,
I find them
for
too
shoulders, I
awkward.
like them the best actually
Hmm.
because if you look at the scientific technique or whatever the progression of the rep, what you will find is in the lower half range, there is no effect of the dumbbell because it
Right.
only starts working when the muscle has come to its working position.
Right.
So in the mid range, this is where the gravity is starting to work.
Hmm.
And in the lower half range, it doesn't really do much.
Right.
But when it comes to the resistance band, it starts working from the, you know, from the starting position itself.
Right.
You are stretching the band, and when you reach this horizontal position, it has a medium kind of effect. And if you try to go beyond that, it gets even tougher.
Right. Okay. Interesting. But dumbbells are kind of better, I think, aren't they? Because you're always getting resistance the whole entire movement.
Uh, that's the problem. Dumbbells do not give the resistance throughout the movement. They
Really?
only give it in the middle range. Yeah.
Really? I would think it would be this. I would think it would be the opposite, like with bands, because bands there's more tension on the band as you stretch it out, right? So as you increase the tension, the harder it is to do the movement.
Yeah.
So there's not as
But
much tension over here as there is to over there because you're lengthening the band.
it is less, yes, compared to the top position. But
Yeah.
still, there is some tension. But in the dumbbells, there is no tension at all in the lower range.
But it's all weight and it's the same weight the whole way through. So the resistance is more even, isn't it?
Like, if I can explain it in the terms of trigonometry, it
Hmm.
would be much more helpful.
Okay.
So, when the weight is downwards, completely your hand is downwards, the angle you are making is, let's say, 0 degrees. So,
Yeah.
sine 0, 0.
Makes sense to me.
So, when you lift it up to 30 degrees, it will have half the effect. Sine 30 is half. When you bring it up 60 degrees, that is where the weight becomes almost 90%, 80 to 90%
Okay.
at 60 degrees. So from 60 degrees, it will start showing its effect, the actual weight that you are lifting. Beyond that, it's half the weight.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because you're probably using a different muscle group, like even just to hold it.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
using, let's say if you're doing this exercise, I'm not really using my shoulders to hold
right.
the weight.
Yeah, you're using the traps or the forearms.
Yeah, maybe, or I wonder what, or maybe I'm just using my legs to hold up the weight because there's just more weight on my body. So maybe it's really
Yeah,
mostly my legs.
yeah, but basically you're using a stronger muscle which doesn't really
Yeah.
have any effect of that
And then
lighter weight.
as you're lifting it up, yeah, maybe it's more your forearms here. That's why I've also heard that doing, are you familiar with supersets?
Yeah,
So I've heard that supersets are really good because then you're really focusing on the muscle working in a particular way. So like if you're just holding the weights out like this and just doing this, or instead of doing the full range of motion the whole way, if I'm going to
yeah,
do,
yeah. These are called partial reps.
yeah, just do it here and then just do it there and then just do it here and then maybe do it the whole entire way. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
So these
weird
are
is,
called partial reps, and again, the goal of partial reps is to attain that mind muscle connection.
yeah, yeah, I've heard about that. What's weird is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I notice a lot of people when they're doing shoulder presses is they lift straight up like this, which from my understanding is like totally the wrong way to do it. First of all, your arms shouldn't go all the way down. They should be about 90 degrees. And you should be
Right.
lifting
Yeah.
in this way,
Right.
like this. And every time I see people lift straight up like this, I'm like, you're going to hurt yourself. Because this is also like using this, but it's like awkward. It's super awkward for your body to lift straight up.
Hmm.
Like it's actually a lot more comfortable to lift up this way.
Yeah. So the goal is to actually make the dumbbells touch when they are
Yeah,
going
this way.
up.
But I see people, they lift straight up like this, just straight up and down. And I'm like,
There
what
are,
are you doing?
I'm
You gotta
not
lift like
surprised because
this.
I've seen people doing the wrong kind of form even after explaining them. They are not really bothered about form because they don't know how common it is to get injured because of the wrong form.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not even about the weight that you're using. It's about form. Like you'd be using low weight or even no weight and the wrong form, and you're going to hurt yourself.
Definitely. So yeah. Have you ever injured yourself while working out?
Oh, yeah. I still have an injury that bothers me in my shoulder. Actually, because I used to lift straight up and not in this way until I learned. And I was lifting a lot of weight for my age at the time. I was like around my early 20s. And I was lifting, like I was doing 70s on each hand doing shoulder presses and dumbbells. And then I just like kind of, my arm moved a little bit too far back and I tried to rebalance it. And I just,
Oh,
yeah, it
yeah.
really messed up my shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think something very similar happened to me, and that's the only injury I've been through. So it wasn't too much of an injury, thankfully. It was kind of an impingement.
Yeah.
So shoulders are something. There is something known as shoulder blade through
Yeah.
which the nerves are passing,
Yeah.
and if we shock it or take up too much weight, that blade is gonna pinch on that nerve,
Right.
and that is what happened to me.
Yeah. 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 What do you do for when your muscles are really, really, really tense? Like, how do
I've
you
never felt that actually.
really? If your muscles are really, really tense and you can't, and they're like, you've never experienced a moment where you're like, where it's like super uncomfortable, your muscles, and they just like really tense up and they feel like they're super knotted. Never experienced that?
No, not really.
Well, you're lucky.
What's that like? Is it during the workout you're saying, or
It's usually, it could be during, it could be after, it could be any point. I remember I woke up in the middle of the night one night and my muscle was so tight. It was like really painful and I could not move my arm, and it didn't matter like any way that I moved my shoulder around, it was even more painful. Um, yeah, it was pretty bad. And like every once in a while I get that, like just in between the back of my shoulder blade. What's it called? Your scapula? I think that's what it's called.
hmm so is it because of the sleeping posture? I'm not sure.
It could be, but I think it's also like exercise. The muscle's tired, or maybe the muscle is like protecting a potential injury that could take place if it wasn't really tense.
Mm.
It's like it's an it's like too much blood is flowing to the muscle. There's too much blood in the muscle, and it's not releasing. So like what I've learned is like what you want, the last thing you want to do is massage the muscle, because what massaging does is it increases blood flow. And that's already the problem. If the muscle's super super tense and like really locked up,
Is it like a cramping?
it's like a cramping, but it's like not just a cramping, it's like it's more intense than cramping. And it's like a cramp, it kind of can be there but then not be there and then be there and not be there. It's like a little bit more intermittent, but this is like a constant tightness.
So what I've heard is that magnesium and potassium, they usually help with these kind of things because our neurons, they send the contracting signal and the relaxation signal.
Hmm.
And calcium is what sends the contracting signal, and magnesium and potassium send the relaxing signal.
Right.
So maybe that is
It could be a
something that
mineral
could
deficiency,
be
sure.
helpful.
Yeah, or insufficiency. Yeah, sure. Could be needing more of those
But
minerals.
but I guess you are already having magnesium in your diet.
I have a pretty
As I
good,
remember, you eat a lot of nuts and
yeah, I've got a pretty good amount of magnesium.
seeds.
I think it's just sort of like, I think it's related to that old injury I was talking about. So what if ever that happens, what I do is I just take actually I have a lacrosse ball. I don't
Oh,
have it here, but I have a lacrosse ball. It's like a little, kind of looks like a rubber ball. It's like a really firm rubber ball. It's about that big. Like in my hand, if I was holding it, it's about like that big.
like a tennis ball.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit smaller than a tennis ball, but it's pretty firm. Like you can't really squeeze it. It's got like a little tiny bit of give if you're squeezing it, but not too much. It's pretty firm. And anyway, so I'll just put it on the spot where I'm getting the cramping, and I'll just put pressure.
A rollover.
Yeah, no, I won't necessarily roll on it, but I'll just hold it in one place until I can tell that the tenseness is subsiding. Because what I've learned that you want to do is you want to cut off circulation to the muscle temporarily. You want to force the muscle to relax by cutting off the circulation, by cutting off the blood flow for a little bit of time.
Interesting.
Yeah. You want to do the
So,
opposite, because if you're massaging, what you're doing is increasing blood flow, which is the
I
problem.
see. I
Which
see.
is that's
So
the
I
problem you
guess,
already have. It's too much blood flow.
yeah, that is why people suggested that hot and cold therapy. The cold therapy will reduce the blood flow and hot will increase it. So if you do it alternatively, what you can feel is the blood stopping and going, stopping and going.
Yeah, I don't know if is that what happens, because cold also maybe slows down the blood flow. So if you have a lot of blood flow to one area and you're putting, like you're cooling it, that might prevent the blood from moving away from the muscle. And if you're heating it up, maybe that'll increase the blood flow. So I don't know which one. Maybe it's like a little bit of both. I don't know. But I never use really cold or hot therapy. I just use, it's called trigger point massage. Or sometimes if I have a buddy, I'll get somebody to like just put an elbow down on that spot. Oh, it's fixing
So elbow
stuff.
massage.
Just put an elbow there and just hold your elbow down. Just help put your elbow down on that one spot and don't
Yeah,
move
I've
it.
seen physiotherapists, they do that
Yeah.
on the back, especially.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good. Or even like taking the arm and like raising it so it's like this, but on your back. And then someone grabbing that part of your shoulder and moving it around just to get the joints moving and oxygen to flow and blood to flow into those joints. That can help as well. Yeah.
So is it something, uh, I don't want to offend you or anything, is it something age related?
Could be. Wouldn't offend me at all. Are you calling me old, Ahmed?
I'm not, I'm just trying to
It's okay. You can
learn
call me.
from your
You can
experience.
call me old if you want to.
I can call you older because you are 10 years older than me,
You can say
but
that.
I don't,
You can say Adam. It sounds like you're really getting very old, and you're closer to your
nah,
deathbed.
nah, I wouldn't say that because I really believe that age should not be something that should, become your personality or the character, just a number.
It's true. I mean, it has an effect for sure. But I was watching an amazing video of some guy who was like 70 and he was pretty out of shape. And I'm sure it's like kind of a rare case, right? Because you got to be able to do this in the first place. But he spent like 2 years just exercising every day and he looks incredible. Like he's got an
Yeah,
incredible
definitely.
physique.
It's all about how much you
Yeah, he's got a better
are
physique than
willing
me,
to
that's for
sacrifice.
sure.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, we have an Indian model and he's about 60 and he looks damn handsome.
Mm.
Uh, he's like a role model for many of us because in 90s he was kind of what you can say, a fresher.
Okay.
Nobody knew his name before 90s, and suddenly he became a top model in 90s, and now he's like this fitness icon
Wow.
in 60s. So yeah, like I don't think just calling someone 60 and then putting them into that prototype kind of a thing
Yeah, of course.
or stereotype kind of thing is fair,
Of course.
or seeing gray hair and stereotyping someone. I
Yeah,
I don't really believe in that.
of
But
course.
so I was asking that because I wanted to shift this topic from just physical soreness
Yeah.
to the things that could one could experience in their 40s.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, I'm not going to deny the fact that as you get older, it's tends to be that your body can't heal itself as it would have when you were younger, and or as quickly. It's pretty well known. And old injuries that were maybe more minor when you were younger, like over time, as you get older, they become more obviously a problem potentially. Yeah. So it could
So
be
what are
that,
the
but I've had this
things?
shoulder issue for a long time. Like I've had it since like I've been managing it since I was probably in my like early 30s.
Yeah, it's common to old injuries come back in decades out later. I've
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah.
So, what I was trying to ask was something like, what are the few things that you experience in 40s that shocked you or surprised you that you never thought of experiencing in 30s, maybe?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet really. Like I don't really notice that much of a difference. But maybe I'm a rare
Okay,
case. Like maybe I don't have as much energy, but I don't think it's something to do with like 30s and 40s. I think it has to do with the fact that I'm way less active.
okay.
So
So, energy.
I think if I was just as active, then I would have the same amount of energy. I don't think it would be that different.
Awesome. So,
Yeah,
so energy declines only because lack of activity.
I think so. At least for me. I think maybe sleep is a little bit more challenging now, but I think that also has to do with a variety of factors. That I don't think it only has to do with age. I don't notice that much of a difference. I really don't notice much of a difference.
And
Yeah.
compared to 20s?
I mean, again, like in my 20s, I was even more active. I was like constantly moving and doing stuff physical in my 20s. So it's not a fair comparison.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not a fair comparison. And it's not like I'm less active now because I'm older, I'm not like capable. It's just because my lifestyle is completely different. My lifestyle is like I don't need to be as active. Like things are much more cerebral now compared to when I was younger. When I was younger, it was more doing stuff. Now I'm more thinking and conceptualizing things. Yeah, it's just different. It's just different. But I believe that if I was to spend, like, I'm definitely not in the shape that I was when I was 20. But again, that has to do with the fact that I really believe that a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm just not as active. I think if I tried to be as active, it would be really hard for maybe like a month. But I would quickly start to get the same amount of energy, or very similar at least. I really believe that.
Moving around is essential. That's
Yeah.
the key.
I don't move around nearly enough. I don't.
But
Most of my days are spent.
you're doing home workouts, which is actually very rare compared to, rest of the world. I don't think anybody is doing 100 push-ups a day at home.
Yeah, I mean, that helps, but I'm still like not doing nearly enough. Like I spend most of my days I'm spending actually in this room.
Hmm.
And then I'll go to that room just to grab a bite to eat. I have a nice balcony,
So,
which I should be using because now the weather is beautiful outside. I should at least be like having my meals out on the balcony, but a lot of times I'm having my meals like in the kitchen. I'll just like make something, and as I'm making food, I'm also eating it. I'm not like making the food and then putting it on a plate and then going to sit down and really enjoy it like as a meal. It's like I'm cooking and things are ready and then I'm eating it as it's ready. And just like
mhm.
standing and eating. So it's like, yeah. What I really need
And
to do is, this is why I like to actually, I like to actually invite people over and eat with me. Because if I do that, then it will force me to like make a meal because they're going to sit down and eat it. So it'll actually force me to make a meal and then sit down and eat it. But life is different now. Like in my 40s, I don't, like everybody I know is very busy. They got stuff going on. They don't really have much time to hang out. That's also why I like to go out places. Like I like to have dinner out, like at least once every couple of weeks. I like to go out and have a nice meal somewhere because then it forces me to eat. But one thing I have been doing is, now that it's warmer outside, I bought myself a nice bike, a mountain bike, and I'll take my bike on Friday nights and I'll take it to my parents.
okay.
So I can't remember how many kilometers it is. Let's look it up. Let's see how many kilometers it is from here to my parents' place. But it's like a pretty decent bike ride. Let's see. Let's look this up. Directions. Let's see. Okay, so it's 8.7 kilometers. So decent. It's decent. But when I was a kid, I could do that bike ride in like 20 minutes. I could do it like the hardest resistance on the bike the whole way there, nonstop. Fastest speed. And now it's like I'm struggling because I'm not as active. Like I used to ride my bike like every day when I was a kid. I'd ride it when it's raining outside, it's cold. Doesn't matter. I ride my bike. The only time I wouldn't ride my bike is when it's really snowing a lot and it's just impossible.
So that's your cardio basically.
So that's my cardio, and it's good for the legs. Really good for my
Yeah.
legs. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess moving the legs, that's the key, I guess, because even in my friends, what I observe is they are not moving around as often.
Mm.
And whenever there is an option to any activity that involves moving around, they are kind of reluctant to that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that feels really bad at times because in your mind you know that you need to move around more, and this is an opportunity, this is a chance where you can do that, but you are saying no to that, and that baffles me.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, that's also why I think it's good to have like a stand-up desk. So that way, like as I'm standing up, like my feet are sore. Like from standing up, like I'm basically always standing up in really the same position like all day. But if because my
Mm.
feet are sore, it forces me to move around. That's why I'm moving around because like yeah, my feet are
Mhm.
very sore from just standing all the time. Um, that's good to do. But yeah, like riding your bike around or just going for a walk. I don't like to really walk around that much, so I'd much rather take my bike. Take the bike for a ride to my parents, 8.7 kilometers, have a bite to eat, and then I'll take the bike back. So that's, like 17 kilometers of bike riding, almost 18, like 17 and a half
Yeah, that's
kilometers.
a
Yeah,
pretty good amount here.
yeah, pretty good, man. Do that like once every.
Over an hour of cardio. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because right now it takes me 40 minutes to get there each way. So it's about an hour and a half altogether of bike riding. Um, and I do that like at least once every 2 weeks, if not once a week. So that's decent.
Right. So do more cardio. That would be something that we would be telling if anybody were watching. But nobody's watching, so yeah, we won't tell you to run around,
Yeah.
raise your heartbeats for no reason.
We'll tell you, but you're not going to listen to us because, well, you're not even listening to this in the first place, so you won't hear it. But yeah, sure, why not? I'll put the message out there with you. Do more cardio. But I think it's got to be the right amount. It depends on what you want to do too. I know there's a lot of I think there's been a lot. We should look this up too. I want to look this up because I think there's been a lot of like scientific benefits when it comes to like resistance training and strength training in
Yeah,
comparison to
definitely.
cardio, especially if you're getting your heart rate up and you're
Yeah,
doing
I
strength
think both
training.
of them we should be doing 2 times at least a week, both of them.
Oh yeah, at least, very
2 times
least.
resistance, 2 times cardio. I think that's not only the least, I think that's enough also. Like, if you want to do more, that's up to you. This is something that needs to be done
Yeah,
to keep your body in shape and, not feel lethargic all the time.
but it's also good for your mind too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Exercise is really good for the mind. It's really good to put your body through some level of stress in a safe way. Um, it's important for your mind to experience some level of stress. Um, yeah. Well, good things to be, good messages to be getting out there for sure. Have you ever done
Yes,
cold plunge? Would you ever do a cold plunge?
I won't actually. I want to try it, but I guess I've told you before, I have asthma, so I try to
Oh
stay
yeah.
away from cold things.
Cold affects the asthma?
Yeah, a lot, because it kind of, closes down the
Right.
lung pores and it becomes harder to breathe and all.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
But
So
then there
like
is also another effect. When you expose yourself to colder things, you're bound to get a lot more bacterial attacks and viral attacks because they tend to survive that some kind of temperature range.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of pretty good science that goes into like putting your body into different like temperature extremes for a little bit of time, like not too long, like
Yeah,
taking like a really cold shower, like just turning on like the maximum cold for like 15-20 seconds.
yeah, I've done that, and like I don't see much of a difference in that other than the immediate effects. Like you definitely feel a little bit fresher compared to the warm water.
Yeah,
So yeah, there are some immediate effects, but I don't know if it has any long-term effects that we have to rely on the scientific study, of course.
I would think it would. I would think putting your body through like certain levels of stress like that is probably good.
Yeah. Now, if I want to try that, I'd be wasting a lot of ice then, I guess. A lot of water and ice. Because I only want to dip for 10 seconds and I don't want to waste that much ice and water just for 10 seconds of dip.
Yeah, I think the goal is about like 3 minutes. You want to get yourself up to 3 minutes of just sitting in the tub of ice cold water. But you could probably just do a shower. Like you just try to. I've never done a cold plunge before. I've turned up the. I've done it slowly. Gradually. I turn it until I'm like, oh man, I can't take that anymore. And I try to last for a little bit, but I can't last for longer than like 15-20 seconds.
Yeah. I guess in few weeks the temperature is going to drop here and then I will be able to have those cold showers.
There you go. There you go. You could just go outside. Like how I forget how cold does it get there?
Right now it's monsoon and the coldest it can get here is I guess 20, early 20s, I guess 22 or something.
Oh, that's not cold.
For us it is.
For you it is, but I'm just saying it's not cold.
Yeah. It doesn't get fridge cold. It will get colder in winter when it can go below 20
Like what's below
and that
2019?
it could be, yeah, sometimes it goes to 16 also. So yeah,
That's not cold.
you can, of course, it's not Canada cold.
That's not cold. Cold is like yeah, like -20.
Yeah, sure. That's my freezer.
-20. -20 is nice and cold. Sometimes in the winter, what I like to do, I used to do this as a kid all the time. Like you know, there's tons of snow everywhere, and I'd go out in my shorts and t-shirt and just make snowballs with my bare hands and just be freezing. But you run around a lot and your body heats up. You're fine. Just do that all the
Mhm.
time. But now, what I like to do is, if it's really cold outside, snowing and everything, I'll just go on the balcony in like my boxers and just enjoy the cold for a little bit. And if it gets too much, then I just step back in. But it's nice. It's very refreshing. And I'm pretty convinced it's good for the body and the mind. I don't know. That's what I
Definitely.
think. That's what I think. I think it is pretty good for the body and mind.
Yeah, I think anything that puts the body and mind to the limit for a while and test it kind of, I think it can be good.
Yeah. Yeah,
It kind
within
of,
reason.
yeah, it kind of teaches your body to adapt.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Okay, my
I
man.
guess we had a good talk today. We
Yeah,
had a variety of topics.
I agree.
One of them was definitely exercise and what wellness. What are we going to call it?
I'm I'm thinking of calling this podcast Aboriginal Mind Muscle Connection and do more cardio. What do you
Isn't
think?
that Isn't that too long? So
Nah.
indigenous, indigenous. What was the second thing we talked about
Mind muscle
after that?
connection.
Was that immediately that? I think mind muscle came
No, that was it.
after something.
We're talking about
I think
that
we
and like
talked about
lacrosse and
yeah, we talked about sports and we talked about mathematics,
that's
intelligence.
true. We did talk about mathematics and like spelling bees. So academic competition.
Yeah.
So what do you
So
think?
what are we gonna call it?
I'm still
Uh,
sticking. I'm still thinking with indigenous, mind muscle connection, and do more cardio. But we could change it if you want.
yeah, definitely indigenous because that's where we began. Then do more cardio. Okay. And what was the third you said?
Mind muscle connection.
What
Or we could do
and what about
academic
the
competition.
academic competition? I don't know. That's or cultural something. Cultural intelligence.
Sure, we could do that too.
Yeah, we can try that. Let's see.
All right. Indigenous, cultural intelligence, do more cardio. Got it. Sounds good.
Okay. So and yeah, 100 push-ups. I'll remember that.
Yeah, do it. Let's see how you do. We'll catch up with you next time.
So yeah. And do we have any signing off ritual? Should we have one?
We could have a signing off ritual. We have a signing in ritual.
So
But
how's it gonna go?
I don't know. You tell me, Mr. Batman.
How does Batman take an exit?
I don't know. How does
Zoop,
Batman? He usually throws down some
disappear.
smoke and just disappears.
So yeah, is there any effect that you can produce? Smoke-like effect?
I probably could if I put enough effort into this, but we all know about how we want to keep this like really poor quality.
I can't see. I have this water spray. Would it work? Is it working?
I mean, I don't. You could try. I don't know if we'd even see it on camera with your brilliantly pixelated camera. That's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. It's just not bad.
Yeah, but I already sprayed, so I don't think
Yeah, I didn't see
it's
anything.
visible. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also not visible because you've got like the blurry background effect going. So it's
Ah,
going to blur
oh
that
yeah.
out too, probably.
True. Yeah. So we'll figure something out next time.
I'm leaving it up to you. That's also your mission. 100 push ups and figure out how we're going to sign out.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be cool if we just signed out with 100 push-ups.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
So
man.
bye, and we'll see each other soon. This time.
Definitely. Look forward to it as always.
Oh, see ya.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody and nobody.